Quick little breakdown on Charles Oliveira. His strengths: he's got movement, forward pressure, unpredictable, and insane cardio. Those are just kind of what I noticed as far as what he's best at. Again, this is just a short little breakdown of some of the things that I like about him. This is not all inclusive and by no means comprehensive, but some of the things that I respect and like about him. So I really respect his forward pressure. My goodness, it's insane. He keeps forward a pace on people that just eventually requires them to just wear out. That's one of his greatest assets is his insane cardio, his muscular and cardiovascular endurance. To be able to put a pace like that on somebody, and he throws these explosive techniques throughout the entire fight, and he can keep the same style of fighting up the entire time. And part of that is because if you look at how he is just coming out in the first couple seconds here against Kevin Lee, you can see how relaxed he is, how he's just moving forward, very relaxed. He's not tense. If you look at the kind of the body language, the difference in body language between Kevin Lee and Charles Oliveira is Kevin Lee was very tense leading up into the fight. He had a scowl on his face. He just looked tense. And Oliveira looked very relaxed, eyebrows were raised, and then kind of just shuffled forward, almost lackadaisical, but then he explodes. So he's very relaxed, and he explodes. Very relaxed, and he explodes. And that allows him to fight with a high pace and a high amount of pressure throughout the entire fight. Now, this jumping front kick is something that he lands with a surprising degree of accuracy throughout all of his fights. It's one of his favorite techniques. Here you see it kind of misses Kevin Lee, but he lands it several times throughout the fight. And then he drops down. He lands that, he throws that flying front kick. Then he throws a left hook, and then right after the left hook, he throws the kick to the leg. So mixing up his strikes between jumping explosive techniques and a regular left hook and then a leg kick. He is the diversification in his strikes. He's not just head hunting. He's going to the head, to the body, to the legs. And another thing that I like about this explosive technique here is it effectively a flying knee here and a flying knee here. So he's throwing like a double flying knee that he extends on the second one out into a front kick. So anything that's in his directly in front of him, which is he's always moving forward towards his opponent. So anything that's directly in front of him, if his opponent decides to try to close the gap, then they're going to walk into one of two of those knees, and if they stay where they're at, then they're going to get the end of that kick, which would be like a flying teep to the to whatever, to the face, to wherever he's aiming it. So I think it's a really brilliant technique, and the fact that he can do that throughout the entire fight is very impressive, because it would take a lot of people so much energy that most people would not even attempt to do something like that. Again, something I really like and respect about Charles Oliveira is his movement. So watch his head. So he is coming kind of in a straight line. I would like to see him cut a little bit more of an angle. But I think part of the reason he does that is because he's trying to bait people into a takedown, because he's so good defensively with his submissions off of a takedown. I believe that he likes to come in a straight line towards people to try to bait them into either throwing a big counter shot, which he can take them down off of, or bait them into shooting on him and wasting their energy because he's so good at blocking takedowns or working submissions off of the takedowns. So I think it's a conscious decision by him to come in a straight line like that. Striking wise, though, if you're talking about minimizing damage and so on and so forth, then maybe cut a few angles there, Charles. But he moves his hands, moves his head, moves his feet. I really like his movement as he closes the distance. And then as he throws this leg kick, he moves his head off to the side. You notice how Kevin Lee throws a punch that would probably go through a brick wall. And thankfully, Charles is aware of that and moves his head off as he throws a kick. He moves his head off the center line and is able to avoid that. So again, highlighting the fact that he does have good head movement in some moments throughout the fight. He's also good at blocking, but in the moments where he doesn't block or doesn't have good head movement, Charles is incredibly tough and can eat a ridiculous amount of damage. And then here I like how he feints with that kick, raises the knee to get a read off of Kevin. You see Kevin kind of tighten up, closes his hands together there a little bit. So he gets a bit of a read off of Kevin with that feint, and then he actually throws the real kick here. where he jumps in again, explosive technique, and lands that kind of front kick to the face of Kevin Lee here. Now looking at the third round of the same fight against Kevin Lee. Very upright stance. And again, he can have this stance because he's so confident in his ability to grapple. He can have a very upright stance. And having an upright stance like that takes a lot less energy. So that's probably part of the reason why he can fight at such a high pace is because he's able to use things that tactics, I guess, that take a little bit less energy. Shuffling forward, I just wanted to highlight here again, going back to what I was talking about earlier, his toughness. So Kevin Lee lands a strong left hook behind the guard of Oliveira, and then after that, he lands another left hook behind the guard of Oliveira, and then after that, he lands a head kick that lands on the back of Oliveira's head. You can see that he tries to block that head kick, but you see his left hand is down, so it's above his shoulder, so that left hand is not blocking at all. And then the kick lands on the back of his head before his fingertips even touch it. So basically, Oliveira ate a straight up, without defending it at all, effectively, he ate a head kick from Kevin. The only defense was the fact that he was able to see it. And then immediately after that, Kevin lands a right hand. So 4 punches, 4 strikes, 2, 3, 4, all land clean from a very powerful, very strong Kevin Lee. And Oliveira just eats it and then just keeps on trucking. And that's got to be incredibly demoralizing if you're Kevin Lee, and incredibly impressive from Oliveira to be able to eat those shots and just just act like nothing happened. So I just wanted to highlight his toughness there. Oliveira does have pretty good head movement, pretty good blocking, but when he needs to have a chin, my goodness, he has a real chin that he can rely on here. Let's see here, what else is going on? Nothing really. Okay, so, and then as I mentioned earlier, sometimes he'll throw kicks that are easy to be taken down off of, and my theory behind that is, although he hasn't said as much, is that because he's so good with his submissions off of takedowns, sometimes he'll feed it to his opponent and hope that they'll try to take him down off of it. In any case, he throws a kick to the body here. Kevin Lee grabs it. Oliveira moves his head to the inside and attacks this guillotine. And takes him down, kind of just falls back to his back. Locks up a half guard here. It kind of looks like full guard, but it is a half guard because Kevin Lee's right leg is over the top of Oliveira's left leg. So he's got Kevin Lee's bottom leg trapped. He can't roll forward. And this is similar to the position that Dustin Poirier got Khabib Nurmagomedov in. But Dustin had an arm-in guillotine, and he didn't have the bottom leg trapped. So Khabib was able to roll over to the side and create some space, get some air, and that's how Khabib survived that. But in this case, Oliveira has the bottom leg trapped, so he can't roll up or not. There's not as much space to drop down to the side, and he definitely can't roll up. And it's not an arm-in guillotine. So, I mean, at this point, there's basically nothing that Kevin Lee can do. I mean, he could try to fight the hands, I guess, but the choke was already sunk in so deeply that he's given 2 options, basically go to sleep or tap out, and he chooses the latter of those 2. He taps out, and that's pretty much the end of the fight. And then I just wanted to show a couple clips of how powerful Kevin Lee's head kick is and why it's so impressive to me. So this kick actually drops his opponent here, and why it's so impressive to me that Oliveira was able to eat those 3 punches and a kick like it was nothing, and then just keep the pressure on. And then here's a lead leg head kick from Kevin Lee that drops, I believe his name is Gillespie, in a fight there. So, I watched all of his fights. Charles Oliveira, I spent hours and hours studying all of his fights. And to do like a full comprehensive breakdown of this guy would take, forever. So this is not everything. This is just the things that I found most impressive. Obviously, he's known for having incredible submissions, but beyond that, he's a fun fighter to watch. Man, he gives his opponents no rest, and he just brings the fight every time he fights. So I'm very excited to watch this guy fight. I'm a big fan of his. For me, his strengths are his movement, his hand feints, his head movement, his defensive blocking, his forward pressure, his jumping techniques. He's willing to expose himself with dynamic strikes because of his confidence on the ground. Another one of his strengths is that he's unpredictable. He mixes his strikes up well. And then he's got just insane cardio. And very, very, very tough guy. A tough gentleman in Charles Oliveira. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Let me know in the comments if you want to see anything in particular, or if you think I left anything extremely important out. Again, like I said, this isn't everything. And that's pretty much it.